Are you feeling the energy? Tangi Pachoy, Happy New Year. We are in the Fire Horse. I wanted to, for Queer Church this week, share a little bit about the Fire Horse, and then I wanted to actually go through the questions that I created for Moon Meet. For folks that haven't joined, it's a once monthly offering in Oakland, and I share about the moon moment, the lunar moment, and then I give some time for reflection. So for today's Queer Church, we're all going to get a chance to see what those questions are like and give you a moment to reflect yourself. We're going to read from Chinese Horoscopes. This is the Handbook of Chinese Horoscopes by Theodora and Laura Lau. And here's what they have to say about the Fire Horse. This is an excellent resource if you are curious about looking into the zodiac signs in kind of a modern take and looking at the elements. They have a lot of information about the differences between the metal and the fire and the wood zodiac elements. So here we have Fire Horse, 1966 and 2006, which we'll talk about in a minute. This is a flamboyant and adventurous horse possessing a superb intellect and great personal magnetism. They try to bring about the changes they desire through force and sheer willpower. The daredevil of the lunar cycle, they can throw caution to the wind when in hot pursuit of some desired objective. This is a double fire sign. Fire is the horse's fixed element, and now it's the fire for the year. So they're always fire. It's like fire, fire. They have flair, wit, and charm, but their endless stream of bright ideas makes them volatile. So, when you play with fire, you might get burned. With their speed and reflexes, they will never quit waging an admirable battle, and we can bet on them to win. So, it's fun because I'm someone who has always celebrated Chinese New Year, being Chinese, and it is very interesting to me to see, even in my lifetime, the ways that folks over here in America, in the West, are understanding and kind of bringing in Lunar New Year and its themes, and the intersection it has with astrology. So I'm very interested in this moment. Folks are talking a lot about this week that we have Lunar New Year, that we started eclipse season, that there's a big conjunction happening tomorrow in astrology, which I'll talk about later. And it's also the start of Ash Wednesday, of Lent, and of Ramadan. So we have, in any system that in many systems that people are following, looking at the calendar, the way we're tracking time, this is a big year. This is a big moment. So if you are feeling like, wow, I was trying to do a plan one way and suddenly it's clear to go this other way, that's the magic of this. So I'll talk a little bit about eclipse season. I say this is tornado time, okay? We are in the tornado. The tornado has begun. And if we think about like Wicked, we don't yet know where the house is going to land. We will know where it lands when the tornado is over. We will know what land we are in. Are we in color? Are we in black and white? We will learn that on the other side of eclipse season. Right now, we are in the tornado, which is all to say that even though this is a powerful time to be present, to be thinking, and to be moving forward even, it's not a time for, I'm bringing this together, I'm manifesting. This is the thing and the ritual that I am doing to make this happen. And the reason is, it's too many cooks. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. Cosmos are doing their thing, and we don't want to add or confuse that process. So, we had a solar eclipse that started, so Lunar New Year started on February 17th with a solar eclipse, and this is a big moon moment that symbolizes new beginnings, portal jumps, and transformation. So that's also why the energy is so big. Yes, every month we have a new moon, and we have a full moon, But not every month do we have a solar eclipse with that connection. And likewise, Lunar New Year always starts on the new moon after the new moon in Aquarius, the first time that happens after the winter solstice. However, that does not always happen on the Ring of Fire. That does not always happen on a solar eclipse time. One thing I want to talk about Lunar New Year, I talk a lot about the Gregorian New Year, thinking about the calendar that we have adopted in the Western world and in many places, that is Gregorian, that looks at January and Capricorn season as the start, right? Capricorn is very top down. Here's the list. Here's the plan. Not as connected to nature. Whereas Lunar New Year begins with the new moon, so it changes time because it goes on when the moon is actually in Aquarius, when it is new in Aquarius. And also, if you think about Aquarius versus Capricorn, Aquarius is for the people, Aquarius is community, Aquarius is people power. So it's also placing the value of a fresh start in those two different realms, thinking about Capricorn versus Aquarium. And spoiler, this is how we do our New Year's, but that's also the ways that we showed the change that we made around Pluto recently. If we were looking at Pluto moving into Aquarius, moving out of Capricorn, and what we are predicting that shift will be, we see that a mini model of that every year, thinking about the difference between the New Year here, Gregorian New Year, and Lunar New Year. So I wanted to just uplift that. Aquarius is a sign with big picture thinking. Aquarius pulls us. It is a head air sign, looking at systems, wanting to be unique, wanting to do things new and differently. And so as we are seeing, it is no coincidence, our larger systems, particularly of government and commerce, as those are failing, we can lean on Aquarian thinking to rethink communities of care, governance, being together, that could last a lifetime and beyond. So I'm jazzed about it, as you can see. All right. Now, as I mentioned, this Lunar New Year started not just with the new moon, but also the solar eclipse. They call that the Ring of Fire. The last time that we had a Ring of Fire to start Lunar New Year was January 15th, 2010. That was the year of a metal tiger. So that Ring of Fire New Year was a lot about metal. Metal is industry, metal is sharpness, metal, and in the tiger year, made that year fierce, independence, passion, stubbornness, right? And so the ways that was about capitalist kind of traits and high ambition, strong willpower, top down, get it done, machine if necessary, 2010. So we have this link and this chance to think about leadership really differently this year. So the first question I have for you to consider: how have you and your connection to leadership changed since 2010? Both as a leader and in response to leadership. So that's the first frame. I'll say it one more time. How have you and your connection to leadership changed since 2010? Both as a leader and in relation to leaders. I'll let you just read that. Maybe you'll come back and think about it. The next thing I want to talk about is this transition. We are officially out of the wood snake. We have left the belly. We have done the final shed, and we are now in the forward movement. We move from the snake, which is intuition, strategy, inner listening, independent, to the horse, which is gregarious, which is energy, which is social, which is adventure. So we've made that move very similar to the tarot card years. We moved from the Hermit to the Wheel of Fortune, to very much static, to movement. So you can see this trend in different ways. With the fire element added to the horse, it's like this horse that was always going to be moving forward now has a jetpack, now is just careening. It is not staying stuck. And we're going to see that throughout this year and really for the next 2 years. So let's take a moment to think about this transition for yourself. And remember, Lunar New Year goes for 2 weeks. It follows the entire time that the moon from its seedling goes up until it becomes full. And so it ends actually on March 3rd with a full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo. And so we're still very much in it. In what ways did your intuition strengthen last year? Especially through shedding or through releasing. In what ways did your intuition strengthen last year? And as we think about this movement, what patterns, limiting beliefs, or old habits feel ready to be left behind? I'll give you a moment. I'm actually going to think about that for a second. Sometimes when we connect to our intuition, we think about this energy center in the core of our being. We call it trusting our gut. I often think it's this chakra here that is our self connection. Maybe you'll connect to yourself for a moment. The fire horse was last seen in 1966. This is incredible. This was a very transitional year. I know I grew up learning about the 60s and America especially, but really in the world. Here are a couple of culturally significant things that happened in 1966. The Vietnam War escalated, hippies and the free love movement, think about that collective power becoming more visible, more present. The Cultural Revolution began in China. If you're not familiar with the Cultural Revolution, maybe do some digging. It's complicated, but one thing I will say, it did begin very much about people power and the collective. The USSR achieved the first controlled lunar landing. This was a moment when everyone was thinking about our planet and above and beyond, taking chances and just going for it. The first ATM machine was launched. Thinking about our world, thinking about machines and technology and what that meant. The Black Panther Party was founded in Oakland, thinking about collective resistance, of course. And this is just for fun for me. Star Trek was first launched first premiered on TV in 1966. And just like a little nerd deep dive on Star Trek, it was a show founded on the principle of progressive utopian future where infinite diversity and infinite combinations allows humanity to move beyond racism. That was the foundation of Star Trek. They actually wanted to set it as a Western. They wanted people to see harmony, different, diverse people being part of one team. And they were like, no one's going to believe that. Better put it in space. So this is also just to show the way that art in 1966 was incredibly powerful. The visuals that we saw expanded. This is the start, 1966, of larger change, where people were being called to step into leadership in new ways. When we think about this link, now here we are, the 1966 of the present. We are in the revolution of this time. Where are you feeling called to focus your attention right now? How do your personal goals help you better show up for a community or broader change? So really paying attention. Again, we're not manifesting at this time, but we can be clear. We can sort of think about where we want to go, what direction, while being very open to finding actually the direction has changed and being called a different way, or the way I'm getting there is completely different than I thought, but here I am. And I also just want to keep linking this self and community, because it's really big about this. And for you to think, yes, I am, maybe you have very personal goals right now that are the main focus. Maybe you're going through a big personal grief or transition or breakup or heartbreak or something, and just thinking about your personal goals also being part of this larger movement, this ripple, because it likely is. All right, I have one final thing to let us go and close this out, but I also wanted to mention more just that tomorrow, February 20th, 7:24 a.m. So really tonight, Thursday night, you can work with this. Saturn and Neptune are coming together, making a conjunction. This only happens every 36 years. It is a big deal. We are talking big, decades long, waiting for something to happen in 0 degrees of Aries, meaning that it is right on spring equinox moment. It is right on new beginnings. Aries is the first sign. This is happening at a beginning. We're here in a whole string of weeks of beginnings, of fresh starts. So how do we take that in emotionally and energetically, to let go, to trust that what was shed in the snake was meant to be there, and to really move forward feeling unstuck? This is especially potent because these two planets, Saturn and Neptune, represent very different things, spiritually and energetically, and then coming together in Aries means them coming together in a fresh start. So we have Saturn building, making things happen, Neptune watery, dreamy, and so when they come together, this is a chance for making the dreams, for your radical dream, for even expanding the way that we dream about our lives, our goals, and the goals we have for everyone, for society, for our communities. Those dreams expanding, making them bigger, and really believing in there being a path for it. Maybe a path that will be present and will be clear at the end of the tornado, when everything is falling. All right, thanks for bearing with me in this little bit different queer church. These are the types of questions I share at Moon Meet. So if any of this sparked you, if you'd be interested in having these types of conversations and really carving out time for yourself for reflection, you should join us on March 3rd. We'll be at ground floor again, closing out Lunar New Year. For now, we'll just send gratitude, a little wash between me and you and everyone around connected to us. And just say, with everything in mind, what do we need to hear? Quite clear. Time for the shedding, for the dying, for the letting go, and for this always comes as a reminder that death is a natural cycle. Everything ended, that is ending, that will end in the next 2 weeks or so, for a month or so. How do we welcome that embrace as we see them, like as with an old friend, when we see death coming, and say, hello change, I'm ready for you. Thank you so much, and Kangi Fat Choy.